What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. About a year ago and a little bit of change to the date, I did a video titled, I spent $2,500 on these Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Stimmy checks had just slammed the market and people were freaking out. Everything's at an all-time high. Oh my gosh, the market's so crazy. There's nothing left to buy. And I'm staring at so much potential and unlimited and first edition junk slash mid-range ultimate rares that I just felt were grossly underestimated. I did not do a single buyout, however. As market man, I don't like to take value that other people could have. I got cards for my personal collection and also to resell to a date later to recoup my investment. Not a financial advisor investment channel, by the way. But I stopped vending a long time ago because I feel like it does interfere in market watch, and anytime I do something that is actually putting my money into the market, I like to be very public with it, not just to do a self-fulfilled prophecy of, yeah, these cards are gonna sell because I did this, but rather I like people to know that I have a vested interest in X or Y, even though I don't really let it affect my market watches. Now, just 3 months later, I did an update with the top comment. I am waiting for the video in 5 years' time titled, I made a terrible decision. Let's see where we're at just a year later. But if you believe some of those top comments, you can use code WhatsGood5 for 5% off. Amanda LaPalm is ramping up, doing a ton of awesome products. She has the Magician Girl dice and Field Centers coming up. Dragon Maid dice are now sold out if you did want them. Unfortunately, my eternal rivals on Market Watch, a nice Akiza Field Center and the Sky Striker bundle are still available with the Trap Tricks mini bundle. So amazing products over here. Help me recoup those losses they think I'm taking seriously. One of the top comments over here was like, I'm something of a vendor myself, and ultimate rares, they just don't move. They sit in the binders, they sit on TCG Player. Let's see how that actually panned out over time versus how crazy the market got. I've got a ton of numbers up here, a lot of things that happened where I could have better spent my money, what I think went really well, what I think actually is fake inflated numbers, but let's actually just show you the cards instead and hop around the market. Mobius the Frost Monarch is probably one of my biggest W's. I only got myself one of those. First edition, I spent about $30 if I recall, and he is now sitting around $200. However, I'm not going to be getting these prices, right? I'm going to lose if I list on here. These sellers are also taking TCG player fees, tracked shipping. You might insure at a certain price, but most players are not, because over the amount of cards you would ship, insurance will eventually lose you money. But most likely, you're paying a little bit of a decent chunk in fees when you get up in price. So I would more so expect to maybe find a motivated buyer at around $150. And thank you for subscribing to the channel. Totally forgot to turn that off for this longer video, but I super appreciate you guys subscribing and following the channel. It's been growing lately, and I super appreciate it. Mobius, though, is probably the biggest solid W. I also have other mid-range W's like Anishi Shien's Chancellor. I did that for my old Six Samurai when I wanted a hollowed out version. He's now around $47, and I think I spent just barely above $10 on him. But some things are just complete losses. I did not actually expect to see any first edition ultimates go down. My worst case scenario for most cards were that they would increase 10% a year, but it turns out some junk ultimate rares are truly just junk, and I actually took small L's on stuff like Degenerate Circuit, Destruction of Destiny. I think I actually lost $1 some on. I thought this was so cool to dual disc on the picture. I was going for art on some of my investments, and yeah, that doesn't always pan out, even from a set like Enemy of Justice, and Legendary Black Belt from Lost Millennium went down in price. I think a couple of dollars are barely versus my investment as well. But other huge dubs do include the Koichi the Battle Chanted Locomotive. I think I got it at $18.23. Sometimes I just went, that's a nice seller. I might know them, or I already have a huge cart with them. I'll spend a little more on them and include it in the package. And first edition versus, I think, the 18 and 23 I went in on is around $100 freaking dollars. Also thinking about past formats and mid-range ultis, XX Saber Dark Soul is one of my biggest W's out there to date. $90-ish for the first edition, and I think I was in around $13 or $18. We'll pull up the graph in a bit. Future Fusion actually is just a nice little double up for the most part. I think I spent 20s, and now the lowest are around 50. But there is inflated value in my graph because we're going to see a nice total number that we're gonna get to. And stuff like this is just fake buyouts. They're not gonna go for it. We live in a society, the greed that John bought. I bought like 3 of these at like $2 and some odd cents, and now they're listed lowest at $190. Like, this is not a real price. This isn't actually what greed is going to sell for. Market price 5 could even be more indicative of the unlims, but I wouldn't expect to get more than $25 most likely on this Soul of the Duelist Ultimate Rare, and it's just bought out to ridiculous proportions. Also, cards like Nolan Void, current market price for the first editions, maybe realistically near 12 to 15. They're listed at 40 right now. I don't expect to get 40, so we will calculate that into how we did in our end total, because I don't think I would be selling for anything near 40s probably. Also, I did this just for a little bit of waifu tax, the soldier lady, and she's around 200 for the only listing, obviously cleanly wiped off the market somewhat recently. I bought one. I don't expect to get $200 for this card, but some of the solid value that actually I have watched rise, like I believe Ruxin pulled this on a video, and at the time it was $8 in his pack opening, and you see a market price now with 14. Memes, funny pictures, cards, certain memorable things from childhood, this is now near 20. I would actually expect to be getting stuff like 15s after shipping and fees on stuff like this. And the Rose Warrior of Revenge, that ends up in that odd place of a memorable card, ultimate rare, and the first editions are now near 50, and I think I spent maybe around $9 on the first editions originally. This is the range where I just don't know what's happening. This card, I really like how it looks. It looks like one of the best ultimate rares they ever printed for unique foiling, and that's why I bought them around $12 or $13, and they are now near 69. Nice, just under, and I think that's kind of weird. I really don't know what I would actually be trying to sell this at. Like, maybe I'd list it at 45. This is the kind of ultimate that could actually sit there for a while, but I just don't see that. With old school ultis, I don't expect an insane sales rate, but I do expect whenever I do sell to grind a little, not just to offload it all to one person, to end up selling here, there, checking buy lists, doing that kind of stuff. You have to be connected and know what you're doing if you are moving things, and just don't expect things to auto sell and auto make your money. Also, versus my 3-month update, Dasher is actually down in price. There's actually a little bit of deflation of hype on certain cards. It's not just moon rocketing. It's not just easy money. 10D's always up. Yeah, this is actually down. I think they were around $70 when I did my update, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're down towards 50, not necessarily moving, or other people just had bigger stacks. And like I said, there were better places that I actually called that I could have spent my money. Old school first edition secrets versus that estimated value pulled of certain boxes that don't have the craziest things, or even do have a ton of chases like Phantom Darkness, but the sealed has just gone up so much and people actually hunt the raw copies. $200 GX era, yep, like those are the lowest, and that's pretty darn insane, and a ton of secret rares have gone that way for past formats, for max rarity, or because that kind of box value is there. So let's kind of cover what else I went in on. I went in on number hunting, and a lot of those are triple ups that I think are solid value, and you can see here almost every single number will be triple or double ups, and then like Heart Earth is more towards that double up than triple up range. I have a lot of really weird things happening though, like Junk Stays Junk on Dimensional Inversion. I got it because Greffer's on the art. It almost looks like a double up, but it's not really any solid value, and that's the grind, right? More so, I'm looking around at stuff like Please Stop This, Nolan Void's weird, Waifu Tax on the Rose actually panning out, the memes on A Trap Disposal, which I did show, or Supercharge, which unironically is Speedroid support because it works with any roid machine. But I like cards like that. It's a really funny, memorable one, and stuff like that did well for itself that I did go deeper on. The Koichi, of course, huge. Flint, I have Sad Noises next to, because from Rise of Destiny, I expected a card like this and its legacy to do way better for itself, and it's barely up at all. So I'm like, people just aren't cultured these days. The kids, they don't remember. And then also Malfunction barely moving. I would think stuff like Malfunction, Force Back, stuff like that would have been insane, but it's more so the memorable ones like Force Back that will do well, and Malfunction just sits by the side, not as remembered. And yeah, obviously I had a couple of L's, some things that didn't pan out like I thought. Super stonks with things like my first edition's Queen's Knight, I think one of my biggest wins by far, but you have King's Court hyping that up right now, so that can be skewed for sure, right? Like, I'm not expecting. And then, like, Banisher of the Radiance first. They sat at $16 for years and years, to the point where stimmies are making things crazy. They're still $16-ish, and now they are $100 on the market. Everything is from TCG Player last night on the prices lowest near mints there. But yeah, a couple of losses, a couple of weird prices, a couple of regrets, of course, and then other things that I'm really glad to relook at. I forgot how cool Royal Surrender actually looked for its art, and it did rather well for itself. Rising Energy, thank you, Mono Bluetron. Super appreciate your help with that one, smile. And then other things just not really moving or around. Like, I would think Iris the Earth Mother, literally mommy in the name, barely moving, unlike the Soldier Lady. And then Ancient Rules barely moving. Here is the grand total, though, and this is first edition only, you might notice. I have all of my unlimbs, super notable ones within there, doing really well for themselves, and I actually want to see what loss leaders there are, too. We'll probably do that on the next update, but the grand total versus the 2,500 in, excluding shipping and taxes, we'll get to that actual number, is $7,732. It looks like I did rather well for myself for the timing and everything. But again, I could have spent on high-end Yu-Gi-Oh cards, or like old school secrets, Crypto Daddies to the Moon, and done better, like the realistic better cards. I just wanted to show that even with all those all-time highs, fears on the market that things are going to crash after, like, hey, there's plenty of cheap things to get into, and I didn't do a single buyout doing this. Even with those quantities, there were tons left over for other people to be after at the time. So if you followed me, looks like you're doing good if you're a grindy duelist. Now, my actual in total with shipping, taxes, was $2,609, nice, $2, so $2,692. And what would my actual expected value be if I grinded all the first editions alone out, and I didn't, like, you know, really skimp on anything, and I made sure to get my value? Well, we see this number is $7,732. We're just going to immediately take out platform fees and, you know, maybe a little more because we know we have to undercut. So let's actually just immediately take out, say, 20% instead of 13% because I want to undercut, I want to sell, I want to grind. So let's immediately take out 20% of my value. That's a pretty big dip. And then let's also take out those fake values like greed and those kinds of things. Let's just adjust for that. And we're going to take out, I would say, like $900. And we're still at a pretty good double up range there if I'm grinding. So if I was selling all my first editions to say, just get rid of them, I want to cash in, I want to buy some Godzilla statue, I want to go after something crazy, I would say that I would probably be losing another $1,200, and I'm still far, far, far above my initial investment with only my first editions. Like I said, I have notable unlimbs, like Randmal, I think that's around 70 right now. King's Knights, I think those are 30-some odd after Fallout. Jack's Knights did very well for themselves. Silent Swordsman is actually under my 3-month update, but still around $70. Yes, everything would be slow moving, grindy if I push it out, but I think realistically if I show this pile, I do this, I could also sell it, but that's not the kind of duelist I am for the most part. I would rather hook people up, help collections, help people grow, give some deals while still making my profit, and that's how I hold myself as a vendor. Thanks for watching today's video. Go ahead and scroll through the comments on the others if you want to. It is a mix of, yeah, this is pretty spot on, John knows what he's doing, or he's freaking insane, he doesn't know what he's doing, and how that aged over a year or even, you know, the less than a year versus the update. I'm something of a vendor myself. They're really funny comments, and I think I did pretty good overall, especially considering my worst case projection was hoping that this increases 10% a year versus traditional investing, and then I have to grind it out and I only make 20-ish% after all of the hard work and moving and get stuck with some free cards that I personally wanted because, yeah, some of this is for collection. Or the best case scenario, 5xing in value. I'm already 3x at 1 year in, but I do expect some coolant from the market, then further skyrocketing depending on when we're back to events, past formats, what people go for. But yeah, there's going to be changes from here, and this is way better than I expected to be at this point, but we could still see downward trajectory. It's not like I'm beating my chest like I won. I'm in this for 5 years, and I'm sticking to it. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed this conversation, this kind of different look at the market. Again, I don't really play into it. I don't like taking deals away that people could have gotten, but when I did do this, I made sure that anybody who wanted to go in could get cards, and pretty much nothing disappeared directly after, except if I recall Destiny Hero Dasher. People went for that again when they'd already gone for it before. Thanks for watching, everybody.